All right, welcome to another episode of Commander's Justice. And just like anybody with integrity, I got to do what I promised the team. So, real quick, all right, the Eagles are great. The Eagles are a champion. The Eagles are the best. The
Oh man.
Eagles are tough.
I thought
I
Alex had to
I
do
love
that.
the Eagles. They are the greatest. They are the best. All
Oh
right,
I
man.
thought Alex had to do that.
you
That
know,
wasn't Alex.
No, he's a man of his word. Thankfully, I didn't have to. I don't. We
all
have to
right.
go look at the show, but I think he volunteered this week.
I'm gonna let you guys talk for a minute. I gotta go throw up. Hold on a second.
Well, Ken is a man of his word. So when he decides he's gonna, commit to something, clearly he does that.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think he's really throwing up, do you?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. No, he's
I
not.
would if I had to say that about the Eagles. I would throw up as well.
Like Alex, out of camaraderie and being a part of the brotherhood with the show, I think you should do 10 on behalf of Ken. Just say, hey, listen, I'm with you. I got your back, brother.
All right, I
guess
can do 10. I'm out. Well, right now I'm on my deck, which is a little wet from the rain, but I will do 10 and send it to him.
Oh, we got the Senate.
The
Praise.
senator. Yeah.
It's AI. It's called AI.
Exactly
AI.
right.
You welcome back, Ken.
Yes.
That was a quick throw up. He's on mute now. Come on, Ken. You discombobulated over there. Come on, Chief
It
Judge.
hurt my heart to do something like that and to say it, but they played the better game, and the Commanders unfortunately lost, but it was a good game and they tried. So let's move on. I
Okay.
don't know. Have you guys
We don't have
introduced
to-
the guests right now?
Okay. Let me start off with a good guest. I mean, we're gonna save the best for the Hall of Famer, but I want to introduce Ross Hudson. Ross Hudson and I go way back. Ross Hudson, father Randy Hudson, and I, we've been knowing since the first grade. And Ross is like a little nephew to me. Not a little nephew anymore, but he ended up going to Cisco Junior College, go Wranglers, to play football. And now he's working with his dad in his insurance and financial business. And he's a staunch Dallas Cowboys fan, a big time Dallas Cowboys fan. And he's climbing uphill battle today, but he's going to come with some force today. Ross Hudson.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you for
Morning,
that.
won't you introduce Drew?
All right. Well, so I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. He is the Pro Football Hall of Famer, and certainly probably the one guy that everybody in Philadelphia loves to hate. The original 88, Drew Pearson. And like he says, hut, hut.
Yes. Thank you for that intro. Yes.
Thank
The
you
one
for-
guy that loved to be hated, the enemy of the state. And I love it. I love it. If I don't pick a state or a city, I'm glad it's Philadelphia.
Thank you for being on the show, and of course we have Alex is Still Real Estate. He's always here defending the Commanders, and this year he has something to defend and be happy about. So welcome on the show. As the show goes, we have the people who are going to defend the Cowboys as to why they're going to win and try to convince us as the judges into to believing in that. Which, I'm start off, we're going to be biased a little bit because I don't think it's going to happen. But then also on the other side, we have Alex, who's going to defend the Commanders and tell us why he thinks the Commanders are going to win. So let's go ahead and jump into it real quick. Drew, since you've been there in the heyday when there was a rivalry and the playing, you think there's still a rivalry now between the Commanders and the Cowboys? I mean, even the names have changed. So is there still a rivalry, or is it just a game?
No, I think the rivalry's still there because they're still vying for the title in the NFC East. But there's no question it has diminished somewhat over the years. And a lot of that is because the Commanders, the Commodores, whatever y'all call yourselves, they've been down for, and then the Cowboys have been down. And that what made the rivalry really big back then when George Allen was doing it, that both teams were really good. And it was either them or us winning the NFC East. So that really made their rivalry very intense. But now again, it's watered down a little because the Cowboys aren't as competitive, right now, or they haven't been in some time. And Washington with Dan Quinn seems like they're turning things around. One of the biggest mistakes we made in the offseason, everybody's talking about what the Cowboys didn't do in the offseason to lead to where they are now. One of the things they didn't do was keep Dan Quinn in-house, find some way to keep him from going to a competitor. But the Redskins.
You
I'm gonna
can
call
say
them
Redskins on
all
this
right, we
show.
got to
You can
deal
call
with
them
say
that.
Redskins. That's what I still
All
call
right,
them.
because that's what I want. You see that? You see that elbow right there? That's what I want to do to the Redskins. That elbow? That's like Kenny Houston. Kenny
Yeah.
Houston had a forearm that was devastating. All right. I mean, he used to knock
He
people
was a
out,
great safety.
including me. He knocked me out on Thanksgiving Day with that forearm. And we used to check that forearm before the game with the refs to make sure he didn't have a metal plate in there. That's how fierce that forearm was. But anyway, the Cowboys are down a little bit right now, so the rivalry is just not as intense. But it's still the NFC East. It's still the game that we want to win. Bragging rights, whether we get in the playoffs or not, bragging rights might be the best we can do so far this season. So let's see if we can gain some bragging rights.
Appreciate that, Drew. Alex, the question I have is as a fan, as a player, is it okay to look at another team and say that's who we want to be like? Say so, like right now, the Detroit Lions look like they're a dominating team in all facets. Do you think that Commanders would look at a team like that and say that's who we need to play like, be like, or do you think they say forget everybody else, we set our own tone?
Yeah, I think you have to set your own tone. I think it's one thing to look at a team like organizationally and say we want to do things like this organization does things, first class, whichever organization you're talking about, that's okay. But from a stylistic standpoint and how a team is made up and how they want to play, I think I can certainly speak for my team and with Gibbs, and when Gibbs was here, we played football to best suit the talent that we had on the roster. Some years, like early on, it was heavy run with John Riggins and Joe Washington. And then, with later on with, the posse with Art Monk and Gary Clark and Ricky Sanders, we were more of a passing team. So I think it's a little dangerous to try to emulate what another team does on the field unless your personnel is exactly the same and you can do the same thing, which again, you really can't do. So I think it's more of we want to be like an organization, but we want to set our own tone here as an organization and as a team.
Okay, Ross, it's a game, it's a away game. Unfortunately, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but Cowboys have been getting destroyed by a lot of teams. How hard is it right now to be excited in the fan base and even to try to convince us that you think your team is going to win? Do you feel like you're lying when you say it, or do you actually believe that your team can potentially win this game?
Well, when I was looking at some stuff, as you said, it's an away game, so that's good because we're like minus 124 point differential when we play at home this year. If you didn't know that,
Yeah,
we're way better on the road this year, which in previous 2 years we've been real good at home and bad on the road. So it's kind of switched up. But yeah, when I was looking at stuff, everything I found there was caveats to why the Cowboys that I found when they could win, there was an argument, well, the Commanders are better than the Cowboys at this. So, I mean, it's very hard in Dallas right now to be a fan because it's just, we're all over it. We kind of want to rebuild, but the rivalry, I'm like Drew, there's a rivalry. You never know in the NFC East as far as what'll happen on a given week. I mean, they go back years and years. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. I got some stuff for y'all, but I'll wait till y'all tell me to go.
Okay, no, and it's funny because had this been last year, or the year before, we've been in your shoes. We definitely understand. Yeah. So we got that. Drew, or is it okay if I call you Drew? I want to be respectful.
Of course, yes, please.
Okay, Drew, you've been a Cowboy. How important is history? Like, is this something that you think the team ownership will call you guys in and maybe give the team a pep talk about the history, or is it just, look forward to next year? What do you think?
Well, first of all, no, he's not going to call us in to talk to the guys, which he's never done, not with my group anyway. He might do that with Michael Irvin and Charles Haley, and might even get Deion Sanders on the phone to make a pregame speech to the guys, get them fired up. But no, I don't think he does that. I think one of the big problems with the Cowboys is they have no veteran leadership in that locker room. You look at that roster, how many of those guys on that roster have won a playoff game? I would say most of them haven't. Even your quarterback, had Dak Prescott now that he's hurt, but he hadn't won anything. They have no leadership in that locker room to tell the guys what it takes as far as your commitment. The coach can say all this and get you prepared, X's and O's and all that, but you got to have somebody in that locker room policing the locker room. Nobody was stricter than Tom Landry as far as discipline and all that. But we were harder on ourselves than he was harder on us. And we would let no one mess up because we were, trying to win. And we needed everybody on the same page. So we have nobody in the locker room like that. We won't. It'll be a while before we get somebody like that. So, we just have to take what we have and try to make something of it. We're just not having a great season, and there's a lot of injuries playing a part of that. But to me, the biggest part is that they don't come ready to play. There's no one in there getting in their face. Those kind of things that motivate your team. But you can't do it if you're not the leader, okay? If you're a leader, has to be the best out there on the field, all right? You can't do it. You can't tell everybody to follow you if you're not playing up to par. And so guys like Micah Parsons, even CD Lamb, he's out there crying and, complaining about this and that. You see the frustration on his face. You got to let that go because it filters into the rest of the team. So they don't have that kind of leadership, and I think that's a problem. They could have solved some of that in the offseason by getting some veteran players in here, but they sat on their hands throughout the offseason, and this is the position they're in because of that.
Alex, you had something you wanted to chime in on?
Yeah, I think Mr. Pearson's exactly right. I mean, they just showed a clip, I think it was either during the game or after the game, the Cowboys game on Monday night. And it's a clip of Troy Aikman was, going down the sideline, just barking at, the offensive line. And there were skill guys saying like, this is Bush League, blah, blah, and really policing the team on his own. I think this was a clip from when Barry Switzer was the head coach. And then they panned over to, I guess, where they put another shot of Dak Prescott on the sideline, and he was just saying to a teammate just nonchalantly, "We effing suck." And so it's like you could, just what Mr. Pearson was saying, you can see that at least from afar it looks like they're not doing that good of a job, policing the sidelines and the locker room as maybe they did when Mr. Pearson was playing and the championship years even after that.
I'll tell you what, I got 1,000 questions that I want to ask, and maybe hopefully we'll get around to them. But I know, Mr. Pearson, you got time limits, so I'm going to pass it along to Judge Marney. And Judge Marney, you take it away and show them how great you really are.
Come on, Judge.
Well, all right, here we go. Okay, so a couple.
Did she catch it?
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't throw
can't
it.
throw it.
Here we go. Look at it. Let me swivel the hip. There you go. I threw it.
Don't.
I got it.
There we go.
Okay, there you
Got
go.
it. Not exactly like Drew would make those, Hail Mary catches, but
That's right.
close. Okay, so discipline. So you used that word a couple times during, the past when you were just speaking. Where does that come from? Like your discipline, and how come the Cowboys don't seem to have any discipline these days?
Well, anything that in that regard comes from the top down, it has to filter into the team from the top down. And, I'm not talking Jerry Jones. You let him do his thing, and he's a Hall of Famer, the teammate there. So I got to give him some props there. But you let him do his thing. I'm talking about from the head coach down through the players. That's where discipline is established within your football team by doing the little things, paying attention to detail. If you can't do the little things, how can you expect to do the big things? Even when we travel to games, Coach Landry made us wear suits and ties, and we had to wear that suit and tie every time we stepped out of the room to go down to the lobby to get a newspaper. Yeah, we had newspapers back then. Go down to the lobby, get a newspaper, or meet a guest, or meet a fan or something. You had to have that on. And we complained about that. But you know what? Everybody was doing it. That's a little thing we were doing it to create camaraderie within a team and, paying attention to details. And this team, the way you see them perform, how about the first play when Cooper Rush comes in? He takes a snap and he fumbles the ball. Come on. They're not ready to go. They're not ready to play. There's no discipline there. And we as former players, we see that. We talk about that, The foundation of this organization is strong. It could weather this kind of stuff going on within the football team and still be recognized as the most valuable sports franchise in the world. All right. And that's because the foundation we built is so strong, they can still be the Cowboys and not win crap like they haven't in years, So anyway, that's where they are right now. And they're trying to weather this storm and get past it. But guys, it's a long way from where we as former players want to see where this team needs to go and eventually where it needs to be.
Well, and I
give me some tissue. I'm about to cry. Y'all making me cry.
Well, because we all love the NFC East and that rivalry. So we want it to be good. Like, it's not fun as a fan when there's teams.
Good point.
So to me, I feel like I love those matchups. I love the strong classic NFC East matchups, whether it's the Cowboys and the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Cowboys, Commanders, Redskins. So, all right, well, so Dan Quinn obviously leaves the Cowboys. He goes down to Washington. How do the Cowboys game plan for that? Doesn't he know all their secrets? Doesn't he know things that are little nuances? I mean, it hasn't been that long. So how do the Cowboys prepare for that matchup, or don't they?
Well, hopefully they come up with something different. They got to figure Dan Quinn knows us very well. Knows the quarterbacking situation, knows how these guys perform. He worked the defenses against them, in preparation for every game that they played while he was defensive coordinator. So he knows the guy, and he's got guys on his team that were on our roster, last season. And so, we got to come up with something different. If we come up with this plain vanilla offense, the things we've been running, and I know we're going to be limited because of the quarterback situation, but we got to come up with something different that they haven't seen. New formations, new sets, things of that nature. And hopefully they can open their playbook and have these kind of plays in their playbook already that they've been working on that they can implement in this game that Dan Quinn doesn't know about. But, we let Dan Quinn go to Washington. Where's Kellen Moore right now? He's in Philadelphia, Isn't this crazy? Kellen Moore knows all about our defense, and Quinn knows all about our offense. And there are two competitors in the NFC East. So we got to go up against that as well, their knowledge of us. We haven't changed much since they left. You see what we're doing. We brought in Zimmer, Mike Zimmer. And, he's a great coordinator, but everybody in the league knows about what he brings and the style that he brings, and it's because he's been around a long time. So they know how to attack his defenses. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see what Quinn's going to do and see what our offense is going to do to combat what he's going to do on defense. And maybe we can get him to turn that hat around and wear it the right way. Hood.
All right. Well, I'm going to now pass the ball to Judge John, because I know he's got a bunch of questions for you, Drew. So, John.
Yeah, I got it.
They got it, Chief?
I got it. Catch. Nice hands.
I think I done picked him off. Well, before I start, I got to get to our sponsor real quick. Alex, can you tell us about yourself real quickly again?
Yeah. Happy to sponsor the show. We specialize in real estate here in the DMV, but we help people anywhere in the country. One of the things we've been working on lately is we've been teaching clients how to get apartment buildings and rental properties and things like that, which is again one of our specialties here. It's really this is a great time of year to grab deals on apartment buildings, rental properties, because people kind of put real estate on the back burner for now. So it's a great time of year to do that. Go to estellerealestate.com to find out more about us, our contact information. It's estellerealestate.com.
Okay. Spell that for us so you can get it.
ESTILL realestate.com.
And we're getting sponsored also by, and we are going to be seen on Spotify, right?
Yep. Yeah, the show is on Spotify. We would love it if you like and subscribe to it and give us a little 5-star review and a 1 or 2 sentence review. And we really appreciate that. It really helps us out.
Thank you so much. Ross, I want to go to you. I want you to ask Mr. Pearson a question. We talked this offline earlier about the quarterback situation. He mentioned the quarterback situation. Now, Rush Cooper has been in the same quarterback room as Dak. What do you think? Can you ask him a question about what has he learned from Dak? I mean, I'm putting it on you, but I'm asking the question, I guess, through you. Yeah. So ask Drew a good question about the quarterback situation again.
Well, Drew, do you think, since, as y'all probably know, Dak's pretty successful against NFC East, and especially the Commanders in his career, if y'all know the stats on that, but do you think Dak could give him some different tweaks and things to go at Dan Quinn, since both of them kind of practiced against Dan Quinn for the 3-4 years that he was in Dallas?
Yeah, that should be Dak's role now, to coach up the next guy up, when that's, Cooper Rush and Lance and waiting in the wings there. But that's his role right now. He's very familiar with Dan Quinn and what Quinn likes to do. Maybe can give him some advice on how to attack Quinn and that defense. But, Cooper Rush, he's a backup, but he's an experienced backup. He's been through almost a whole season carrying us when Prescott got hurt before. So, the drop-off is great. There's no question about that. But it shouldn't affect, because all you do with that offense is you take Dak Prescott out and you put Cooper Rush in there. And the thing about that is he's still got the same weapons around him that Dak Prescott had. And that's an issue. We have no running game. We have one wide receiver that's effective in CeeDee Lamb. Tight ends have been playing pretty good, but not that consistent, So we have no weapons on offense. We didn't build no offense in the offseason. We didn't do anything in the offense to make the offense better. We got a rookie starting at left tackle, and so that's where we are with that. We can do all kinds of things, but nothing's going to change between now. I'm sorry, you Cowboy fans. Nothing's going to change between now and watching. The way we're going to win this game Sunday is for Washington to give it to us, okay? They have to play bad for us not to lose, for us to win this game. We're not going to dominate in any way. We're not going to control this game in any way unless Washington lets us. Let's put it like that. Washington should be concerned about not playing down, even though it's the Cowboys, even though it's the NFC East, playing down to their opponent. Because our opponent, especially at home, we're not playing well. And then on the road, we're not. You look at our record, we're not winning on the road either. So effectively. So that's where we are, guys. That's what the situation here in Dallas, and headlines, the Cowboy fans, talk radio, everybody's scratching their head wondering what we can do to salvage, but at the same time, what the future holds for the Dallas Cowboys way beyond this season.
Well, Alex, that brings me to you. So CeeDee Lamb, I saw Turpin, kids from TCU, make a big-time play, long pass catch for a touchdown. The Washington Commanders secondary has been a little bit suspect, right?
Yeah.
So you think CeeDee Lamb can have a good game against a the Commanders, and what is it going to take for the Commanders to stop the Cowboys' main weapon?
Well, listen, I
This
think
Lattimore's coming back.
Yeah, honestly, I think Washington's actually the defense has improved. I mean, as you guys know, I was down on the defense the first 4 or 5 weeks of the year. We're asking guys like Quan Martin and Benjamin St. Juste to do things that they're not, they're not either capable of doing or not really supposed to be doing. For example, like they're not supposed to be covering Amari Coopers and Jeffersons and the best receivers in the league, but we have to have them as number one corners because we just don't have one until Lattimore comes back. So I think honestly the thing that's going to help our secondary the most is getting pressure on Cooper Rush. I mean, if he's obviously not Dak Prescott, that goes without saying. I agree with what Mr. Pearson was saying. I think this is going to be a game that Washington would have to give away and not play down to Dallas. I think getting to Cooper Rush and kind of I hate to say it this way because I'm not trying to be mean to him, but kind of let him be who he is in the pros, which is just kind of a backup quarterback. I think then Washington should be fine.
Ooh, that was mean.
Good point. Good point.
Just trying to be polite, trying to be polite, and because again, he's not obviously you're in the NFL, you're a good player, but there's a reason he's not starting for one of the 32 teams, and I just don't think he can beat you unless you.
When he came in, when he came in with the previous year, and when Dak got hurt, he had better personnel around him. Period. Look at the personnel we got there. Dowdy is our running back. Come on, man.
I agree with you.
You got Pollard. Is Pollard doing anything? I haven't been following him up in Washington. Is he doing anything up there?
We have
Robinson and
we have Brian Robinson. He's been doing great, but he's been hurt, often. And Jaden runs the ball a little bit as well. And we have Rodriguez from Memphis. Rodriguez from Memphis is really good.
Who's the top receiver? McLaurin?
Yes.
Yep.
McLaren?
Yep. Yeah. He's good.
You got to be careful.
It's nice to see what he can do when he actually has a quarterback who can get him the ball.
Yeah. And let's talk about that quarterback, that young quarterback a minute. He's looking pretty good. He might be the best quarterback in the NFC East right now. Between him and Hurts, right?
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
I want to bring in Ross on that because I wanted Ross talk about how can they shut down the Daniels at quarterback. Ross, what do you think about the Cowboys defense?
Oh boy,
quarterback.
I can throw touchdowns against this defense.
The key for the Cowboys defense is to stop the run first, which we're 31st in the league in yards per game, like 151 allowed.
Yeesh.
Commanders aren't much better. They're 30th at 149.9 allowed rush yards per game.
We got a shot.
So that's where, in my opinion, the Cowboys have to basically run the ball, keep Daniels his possessions limited, because the more if you've watched the Cowboys, our whole basically offense when they're moving the ball, staying on the field, we look okay. It's close, etc. But whenever we get 3 and outs or don't move the ball and our defense stays on the field, then they start running it on us and we get real tired. And then they hit us with play action and they start getting big plays, or we miss a tackle on a run play and then they break it open. So Daniels, the key is, Washington's O-line's looking better as the season's gone as far as pass blocking. So the Cowboys are going to have to get some pressure on him because Daniels, he can run, but I think Overshown, he can run sideline to sideline with Daniels because they're about the same speed. Maybe Daniels a little faster, 40, but Micah can run. We got some guys that can run, but Daniels, to me, he's the best rookie quarterback for sure. And he's not throwing interceptions, which is a big key.
Right.
Don't give the Cowboys easy field position so they can go kick a field goal, because as everyone knows, our kicker's pretty good. He can kick it far, so give us easy points. Yeah, it's our best player this year so far. So
yeah, MVP. Yeah.
Hey, listen, you know what? We've had about most until Dan Snyder sold the team recently. Our MVP every year was our punter, so I don't feel bad for you guys to have
Yeah.
1 year where the kicker's good. You know, your MVP.
Yeah, at least we're getting points.
Yeah.
So this last question, pretty much before we go to the wheel of justice, is for and the referees, not the refs, but the judges know this about me. I'm always about a fourth quarter coaching. How do you coach in the fourth quarter? Let's just say it's pretty tight in the fourth quarter, boiling down to the fourth quarter. And I know Drew Pearson know about this because Captain Comeback brought the Cowboys back against the Washington Redskins a lot of times, back in the day. So if it comes down to the fourth quarter coaching, who are you going to give it edge to? To this rookie, not a rookie coach with the Commanders, or are you going to give it to McCarthy? Just saying, hey, man, this is going to make or break you. Fourth quarter. Who will we pick?
Who hit a Hail Mary to win a game this year?
Uh-oh.
All right.
Uh-oh.
They lined up right. They did it right. They executed it.
There it is.
If they can pull that off, then maybe I have to go with Quinn. You know, I'm not really. I hate to bust McCarthy because he's got pedigree and all that as far as coaching and everything, but I don't have confidence that they can make adjustments to do what they have to do to dominate a fourth quarter or have any success. So I'll go to don't let this get out, okay? Don't let this go viral.
Ken,
All right.
It's only on
But
Spotify.
I'll go with the Commanders to have that coaching edge in the fourth quarter.
Alex,
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree. You know, it's honestly echoing what Mr. Pearson said. It is hard because McCarthy does have a Super Bowl, but that hasn't translated to Dallas, and certainly it's got his work cut out for him. Again, he's not working with a full set of tools on offense, and so I would have to side with if the game is close in the fourth quarter, and I would be very upset as a Washington fan if it was close in the fourth quarter. I would have to lean Dan Quinn here on this one.
come on, Ross, bring it home. Tell us.
I mean, you could say Dan Quinn, but there is a history with Dan Quinn and his coaching about blowing games when he gets up. So
I'd like to hear that. Let's hear.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the Falcons Super Bowl.
Yep.
And how that debacle went.
Right.
So there is a way. Obviously, we're battling uphill, but I mean, I think if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, I'd rather have my kicker to kick a 60-yarder, 64-yarder. But I mean, again, it's going to come down to, does Washington, as y'all have been saying, lose the game or blow it, throw a key turnover in the fourth quarter, we get it back, kick a field goal to win the game type deal.
And the reason why I brought that question up, because the Cowboys and the Washington Redskins Commanders, when the Cowboys were horrible back in '89, Jimmy Johnson's first year, I believe, they beat the Washington Redskins back then, right?
Yep.
And then vice versa. So things like that happen. I saw when I was a kid when the Redskins were fired up on the sideline at Texas Stadium and beating the Cowboys, and next thing you know, this quarterback out of nowhere named Clinton Longley came in and threw somebody named Drew Pearson a touchdown for it to win the game. So things like that. That's why I asked that question, because the fourth quarter could boil down to that, because the Commanders can take the Cowboys lightly. I doubt it, but next thing you know, a lot of mistakes may happen on the end of the Commanders, and the Cowboys going, hey, let us stay in the game. We always say that, don't we, Ken and Drew? Don't let us hang around. Don't let us hang around, because something may happen.
Amen. You're right, Judge. There's no question about that. And by the way, that play in the fourth quarter against the Redskins on Thanksgiving Day, I called that in the huddle.
You called it?
Yeah. I said, Clint, line me up on the left side. Let me run a turn in, take off. And you know what he said? Fine, run it. Ready, break.
There it is.
That's how he was back then. That's how he was. But anyway, this is great stuff, guys. I'm going to have to drop off. Only thing I've dropped in my life, dropping off this show.
Right.
We appreciate you.
Well,
I appreciate you having me, Marnie. Anytime. Let's do it again. Not just when we get ready to play these Commanders, Commodores, Redskins, whatever y'all want to call them. All right.
We played twice, so we can have you on again.
All right. God bless, guys. Right.
we love you, Joe.
Now, Ken, you're going to explain the wheel of justice to Ross, and let's see how it's going to go.
All
But
right,
I
real
have
quick.
to say, while Ken is spinning the wheel, I don't think that I've ever seen Ken smile as much as he was grinning when Drew was talking about how there's a pretty strong chance that the Commanders
Yeah, I
are
saw that too.
going to win the game. So our scary linebacker, Ken Harvey, was not
Scary.
so scary for a little bit. He
What
was
you
very
know,
happy.
Scary, not a scary Ken.
I was thinking that, you know, if as in a courtroom and you have your buddy who you bring on the stands and you think he's going to defend you, and then all of a sudden he starts talking stuff, and Drew was like, he was like, you know, pretty much the Commanders are going to win this game and they say give it away, and I was just laughing because I was like, that's
I think
pretty
that's how
much the way
most
it
That
is.
normally doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, it's
Doesn't
kind of
happen.
cool. So it was a good feeling. I was smiling a lot, and I
But
didn't know
coming
y'all
from a
saw
Hall of
that.
Famer, huh?
Yeah, hey, it's cool to be on the show.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna spin the wheel, and then whatever it lands on with the wheel, if the Cowboys win by chance, if they win, Ross, are you okay with having to do whatever it says that the wheel says that you have to do?
Well, this is a court of law, man. You got to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You
Gotcha.
are. That's correct. You're in here, so you got to do it. And if they by any chance, if they win or whatever, the wheel is going to decide how it happens. So here we go. Let me spin this wheel here. Let me find the wheel. I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh, okay. So Ross, if the team wins, if your team loses, you have to sing the Commander's fight song,
Oh.
and vice versa. I'm gonna give you something, Alex. If the Commanders lose, you got to sing the Cowboys fight song.
Do the Cowboys have a fight song?
I don't think they have one, do they?
I don't think so.
All right, we got to make up one
All right.
for the Cowboys. So let's
It
make
may
it
not
fun.
be the fight song though. It might have to. It might rhyme with the. You know, it might say something like "Cowboys suck." You know,
Oh,
yeah.
Just
I'll-
make it. Just make it beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll put some beat to it and sell it and make it a soundtrack.
sounds good.
and no, you can't take a picture with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Can't do
Well,
it.
that's then I can't do this then.
Hey, real quick, there were a couple of things I wanted to ask, and I know I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, but do you guys, both of you guys, one, believe, is it regardless of the quarterback, the foundation starts with the O-line? Do you think the Cowboys offensive line is good, bad? I mean, I think our Commanders offensive line has gotten better, but you think the Cowboys offensive line is bad, thereby making the quarterback bad, or is it just, now that Dax is hurt, you got a new quarterback in, and that could be the game?
I think Dallas's offense for a long time has been very good. I think it's starting to show some signs of aging. I think, also as we've talked about in years past, when we've had good players on the offensive line here, like Trent Williams and whoever else, I think a lot of it comes down to play calling and personnel too, because you can call great plays, but if it's not run correctly, or if the quarterback's not executing at a high level, hanging on to the ball for too long, like you're not going to get 4 or 5, 6 seconds to throw a pass, right? So I think it's a combination of that. I think Washington's offensive line is solid and getting better. I think they still will try to address it in the offseason, in free agency, in the draft. But for now, I think they're both pretty evenly matched.
Ross.
Yeah, I mean, as Alex said, Zach Martin's starting to show some aging this year, especially. I mean, last year he's still really good, but he showed a little, but this year he's been injured. I don't know if it has to do with that. He's got a couple different things going on, but he's actually questionable this week. So is Tyler Smith, the left guard, and then so is Tyler Guyton, the left tackle. That's our first round pick, and then Smith was 2 years ago. So if them three are out, or Gimpy, then it's going to be a real tall task. But I mean, the O-line this year has been a very discerning, real, like, I don't how to exactly say it, but they were counting on the O-line to be really good. That's why they didn't go sign a running back. If you read all the media reports, that's why they didn't want Derrick Henry or Mixon or any of the other free agent running backs. They thought their O-line was going to be good, so they could just throw Rico and Zeke and Deuce Vaughn, and then now they got Dalvin Cook in there, and they could get 4 yards, 5 yards pop and break some, but hasn't been the case this year. So,
Man, Ross, it looked like your eyes were watering up when you were saying that. And you almost starting to cry. You okay?
yeah, we're
I
good.
got a question
We're
for
good.
Ross. So, listen to the 3-time Super Bowl champ and Hall of Fame quarterback Troy Aikman about the talking about the wide receivers not running the precise routes. What's your take on that for the Cowboys? Do you agree?
I think a lot of it has to do with the reps they get. If
Mm-hmm.
CD wasn't at camp,
Mm.
he showed up late. So that's kind of a thing, in my opinion. Turpin hasn't been a so-called wide receiver his whole career, so his routes are going to be a little different. Cook's been hurt. The offense has shown since he's been out, it's kind of, they don't have that second guy to go to. And Cooks, if you watched him in his career, he's a real good route runner,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got speed to hold that safety.
Okay.
So all the other receivers we got are young guys, and they're not real high drafted guys, so they're obviously not going to be as precise with the route.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, CD, he's still really good, but I think this year he hasn't been as on point because he wasn't at camp all year, which, as you two being ex-players, if you're not at camp doing the reps, getting in football shape, running routes or running with your team, doing all that, then you know it's going to affect how you do stuff in the game.
Okay. Alex, I got one question for Alex before you go into him, Ken. Alex, you're a Commanders fan. You're going to get a W in your house one of these days that you're going to wear around once the Commanders make it to the playoffs and go deep. But I want to ask this question to you as a Commanders fan sitting on the outside. And you see that McCarthy's contract is up this year. Would you be okay if a Deion Sanders went to the Dallas Cowboys?
Look, I don't think it can hurt. I mean, the Cowboys are kind of not just a football team; they're kind of a show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, and I think
Entertainment, huh?
right. I think that's how Jerry wants it. Jerry wants a team that's a football team that's also kind of a reality show. That's also kind of entertainment. I don't think Deion would go coach just any team in the NFL. I really think it has to be the Dallas Cowboys, and I think it's something that Jerry would like. I think it would be something, I can't speak for Deion, of course, but I could see that happening. And, Jerry Jones, I'm a fan of his as a businessman, and I always have been. I've heard him say many times that the more they're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, the more we like it. And so I don't think you can get any more mouthpieces talking about the Cowboys than if you hired Deion Sanders as the head coach.
Well, hey, great. Sorry, jumping in real quick, but great show. Great job, guys. Now's the part where we got to ask the judges if you guys will sway them to pick their team, the other team. And so, Judge Marnie, who do you think? Who do you got?
The
Who did the
Commanders.
best job?
Well, I think that, that sure, there could be an upset, but I think it's going to be the Commanders, and
That's T, by the way.
and I think that the Cowboy fans are gonna, this is gonna be the goodbye for McCarthy, so that they can bring in. It's just gonna give them more ammunition to then go get Deion, and then it'll be like a hard reset in at the end of the season for the Cowboys.
Judge John, who do you got?
I have the Commanders winning. They got a lot of momentum. They're gonna have a lot of fans at home. Cowboy fans will be there in support because they travel well as far as the fans are coming to the game. But Ross, you did a great job, but you had an uphill battle. You did. I mean, because the Cowboys are just bad this year, and this, but we want, like Martin said earlier, we want to see the NFC East back at the forefront of being tough. But Alex made his case today, and Drew Pearson teamed up with you pretty much, Ross, and said Cowboys not that good. So I got the Commanders winning at home. I don't know. It could be by a lot, or it could come down to the fourth quarter.
Hey, Ross, I feel bad for you, man, because I'm like you today, like last year. I mean, it was an uphill battle. I felt like I was dragging rocks uphill last year trying to defend the Commanders, so I know what you're going through today for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Before Ken goes, I'm gonna give you some stats that
Okay.
I went and looked up. Since 1989, when Jimmy took over, so that's 35 years before now, the Commanders have only swept the Cowboys 5 times. Okay?
Yep.
No, 4 times. They've gone 2-0 in the season. One of those was 1995 when the Cowboys won the Super Bowl and went 12-4. 2 of those losses were to the 6-10 Commanders. So I'm not saying that they'll beat them this week, but there's a good chance maybe they beat them. Maybe week 17, Commanders lock up the playoffs and don't play anybody. Don't know, but the history tells you that this matchup is going to be pretty close with both of those teams. They hate each other and want to beat each other. So
You
that would
stats
be-
guys, Ken.
Thanks for pointing that out. I used to run a 4.5 40 and bench press 500 pounds.
Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
in the history, my friend. I
Yeah,
could barely
it
walk
was.
Oh
then,
wow!
so-
So
It
what
was.
you're telling no go, huh, Ken?
Yeah,
was.
I got the stats, but we'll see
Hey.
what happens. I think you know it's obvious, and you were fighting an uphill battle that I'm going
Yeah.
with the Commanders. I think the Commanders will win the game, and my hope and desire is that they win it convincingly, that they destroy the
Maybe.
Cowboys with everything in their body and soul and mind, and make an example of the Cowboys. This is a biased judge. This is a biased courtroom. Make an example
Yeah.
of the Cowboys
How
for
come you
all the
didn't accuse
years
yourself, man?
that the Cowboys destroyed the Commanders, and the Commanders are on the other side. I want this to be, and I started off, I want this to be like a Detroit. This is a revenge tour, and to start with the Cowboys. So,
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah. So that-
Ross, even though I won, I think we got a mistrial here. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
so Ross, the way this works is the one who just said he thinks it's a mistrial. He has no power in this courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Just y'all 3.
yeah. So yeah.
Before you give up, before you hang up, Ken, or close the show, Marnie, can you get a screenshot of this real quick for us?
Yes.
Yes, and everybody smile so I can.
Okay. Everybody ready? I will send it.
All
Send
right,
it.
and then
There
once
you go.
again, I just want to say real quick, how cool is this show that we can have Hall of Famers on the show? Ross, I don't know about you. I mean, I would be excited to get a chance to be on the show and talk to a Hall of Famer, but it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to have this show where we have a opportunity to talk to some players that
Hey.
have been there.
Hey, can
For
I
sure.
Absolutely.
intercede on Ross again? Because his dad and I have been on since the first grade. Ross and I were with Tony Dorsett, back in October?
Yeah.
And so Ross, it's good to be on the show with it, but this guy, he's been around these Hall of
Oh, he's
Famers
been
all
around.
along. Yeah,
Okay.
Troy,
Carthage Bulldog.
Carthage Bulldogs, we had Charles Haley, Randy White, Ed Too Tall Jones.
Hey,
Nate,
where did Randy White go to college?
someplace called UM, some of the University of
Maryland,
Massachusetts.
baby. That's right. Right. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, either way, very cool. Exciting show this week, and we'll look forward to seeing what happens. I
Let's
mean,
see what
hopefully
the
it's an
Commanders
exciting
gonna do.
game.
Hey, don't
Yeah.
forget, it's going to be an NFC East rival game regardless.
All right, we're out of here.
All right.
Listen to the show. Watch the show.
Peace,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.